Guys, this is the Abios Grand Tournament. We are in, before the last semifinal, the second semifinal between RDU and StanCifka. Only 3 players remaining in this tournament. One is Orange, already waiting in the grand final spot and just probably watching this tournament game to see how it goes and who will be facing against. RDU and Stan had a way like their road was kind of rocky. I would say Kaldi was almost able to defeat StanCifka. It was 3-2 for Stan. RDU was having better results with both matches being 3-1 for him against Powder and Tom, but now it will be a standoff between those 2 players. Who do you put your money on, Sotel?
I'm going to go ahead and go with RDU here. I think apart from the one little misstep with Patron Warrior that we talked about a little bit earlier in the broadcast against the Echo Mage, I think he's been having some really, really strong lines of play, really, seeing the intuitive plays. That sometimes it's easy for us as casters to see the right lines of play because we have perfect information with both hands. But
of course,
RDU has really been making those intuitions that you have to make as a player when some of the information is concealed with you, and really finding those best lines of play more often than most of the players in the tournament. So I've been really impressed. He's been really on point this tournament, but that's absolutely not to rule out StanCifka. I think he's played very well as well. And I'd love to see this Warrior deck do well, because it's definitely one of the standout decks of the tournament so far.
Definitely. Remember, guys, if you want to tweet something about the tournament, use the hashtag AbiosGT to enter a giveaway, like by default, by just typing a tweet with that hashtag. The giveaways are Battle.net gift cards. And you also might be featured on stream, and that's like the 5 minute on internet fame. Maybe you'll say something dumb but be on Reddit, who knows, right? So, we'll be jumping into the game briefly. Stan is right now cosplaying a chair, so we'll have to wait for him. RDU is ready. D'Artagnan for the second day is still sporting this nice mustache of him.
Wait, what happened to the house poster? Oh, there we go.
Yeah,
Camera's moving. There it is. Okay.
There's a t-shirt on the left side which is signed by someone, but I didn't ask him who it is.
Right, okay.
Oh, yeah, okay.
It just doesn't feel right watching RDU play a tournament game without seeing Hugh Laurie in the background. Like that just has to be the way forward.
But he has to change that for the Hannibal poster. I know that Hannibal is one of his favorite series, if not the favorite, and it's actually my favorite too. So I would love him to do that. Anyway. Stan is, as always, eating something, most likely, but preparing for the semi-final. We know that the lineups are not usual, because StanCifka is sporting a fatigue control warrior, I would like to say. And yeah, that's basically it. That's one unorthodox thing in the lineup, but that's enough, okay? That's enough.
Yeah, and just thinking about, like, let's use that one deck as the focal point, because I guess it is the big talking point. How does it line up against RDU's lineup? We've seen it do very, very well against Patron Warrior already, and RDU does have a Patron Warrior brought in. But against something like the Paladin, I guess it's built pretty well as well. The Bouncing Blade's not too effective. But apart from that, things like Deathlord, things like Justicar, obviously just the natural warrior things like Deathspite are going to get a lot of work done.
Yeah, definitely.
So yeah, it looks like the warrior deck has a pretty good chance against RDU's lineup here.
What do you think he will start with? With the warrior? It's actually okay, right?
Yeah, he's been leading the warrior. He definitely led it in the previous series in his top 8 match. I'm not sure what he led off with in his top 16, but it seems to me like the warrior here is a pretty solid pick. If it runs into the druid, I feel like the druid is probably the one deck that you can expect to get a win almost for free out of RDU's lineup against your pick.
Yeah, that's true.
Your best matchup is a mirror matchup. So
exactly.
If you pick warrior and just go into it and he gets the win with his druid, that's something we talked about a lot yesterday, which, it's never bad to win with a deck in Conquest, but there is such a thing as an unimportant win. And druid beating warrior in game 1 would be one of those unimportant wins. So I definitely don't mind queuing up the warrior and looking for one of the good matchups.
Yeah, but then Paladin has a good matchup against StanCifka's Druid, and the Warrior has, the Warrior is kind of lacking a good matchup. But at the same time, the Warriors able to win any game.
Yes. I think it's 50-50-ish with Druid. I'd go as far as to say it's slightly favored Patron Warrior versus Druid. Some people definitely disagree with that and think that it's slightly Druid favored, but as you say, trying to wall out a Patron Warrior 0-3 is never really a good strategy, because one out of 3 of those games, they're probably going to get some sort of draw that just absolutely crushes whatever you're playing against. Because make no mistake, even the bad matchups like Handlock, the right draw, Patron still tears that matchup apart.
And before we'll just jump into the game, remember guys to click the follow button, because there will be more tournaments, not only Hearthstone on this channel, on the brand new shiny twitch.tv/Abios TV channel. There will be more tournaments, probably most likely Counter-Strike. And I know a lot of Hearthstone players are watching Counter-Strike, me including.
Yeah, and absolutely. Like this initial Hearthstone event has been pretty goddamn successful. There's 40,000 of you watching right now. So
the peak was 44k.
44k, wow. So if you guys want to go ahead and follow the channel, you can make every follow-up event as successful as this one. I'm sure that would be amazing, and Abios would appreciate it enormously. Anyway, game time. Darnassus Aspirant is the ramp of choice versus an aggressive deck, because
definitely.
You get the double effect of ramping up your hand and also getting the competitive minion down to fight for the board. And a 2-3 is pretty goddamn competitive against Paladin's early game.
Definitely it is, and that's one of the best things you can do. Like turn 1 Darnassus Aspirant into a Shade of Naxxramas, which is pretty cool against Paladins, because most of the time it will be out of range, out of the consecration, like instantly. And there's no equality in Secret Paladin.
Yeah, very, very rarely do you see inequality in a Secret Paladin. So StanCifka just has to kind of go through the rigmarole this turn of considering what the secret is in play. I think it is hidden by the overlay here, but I think there is a secret in play, if I remember rightly. I think there was one played on turn 1.
He has 4 cards. He was going first, so yeah, definitely one card was being played.
So yeah, I'm not entirely sure what that secret is. I missed it being played, but yeah, StanCifka is just going to consider all the various secret options this turn. But I don't think there's anything that stops you playing the Shade, because even if it tanks a Repentance, then sure, right? It ends up in Consecrate range eventually, but getting it on a stealth minion.
I mean, it's most likely Avenge or Noble Sacrifice, no other options, right? So why would you play a Repentance so early on, when you know there might... Well, actually, it might matter against the Darnassus Aspirant, but it would be already visible, so yeah, that's not the point.
Right.
Bon appetit, Stan.
StanCifka, always eating. But there's a legitimate concern to this, right? Like the last thing you want is to have something like a concern like, it sounds stupid, but just a concern like being hungry or needing the bathroom or something like that while you're playing a set of Hearthstone. It is distracting, and it does take up a certain amount of your mental resources to be concerned with that. So making sure that he's all properly fueled and everything, as stupid as it sounds, it might actually be kind of sensible.
Well, it's a comfort zone, or he's just while playing Hearthstone just burns so much calories, he has to instantly recover from that.
Yeah, I guess so.
So this turn, Blessing of Kings, right? Do you bait out first a Keeper? There's a good target for the Keeper, so I guess you go with the Blessing of Kings.
Yeah, I think just Blessing of Kings and pushing through the damage here just looks pretty damn appealing.
The problem is now the Keeper will have a really good value. Basically, the Keeper says, well, I'll kill your 4 mana card.
Yeah, more or less. And if this Avenge, which it turns out to be, gets double value for the Keeper. That is a huge swing on the board right now. 4-3 is retained on the board with the Shade. The 2-4 comes down and gets a double silence on the Blessing of Kings and the Avenge. That's pretty fantastic.
That is a true sort of champion to kill off the Shade, which is not bad, because you have to follow up with the Mysterious Challenger with almost full value, because there will be additional Avenge, there will be Noble Sacrifice, there will be the Competitive Spirit, but no Repentance.
He also could have consecrated and had a full board clear, right? If he'd have chosen to go that way.
But I think it's more important to set up the weapon for 10-6 when you drop the challenger.
Yeah, I agree. I definitely agree with you. I'm just looking at the board clear option because also, there's an argument to say clear the board to make room for your 6-6, just to dominate on an empty-ish board. But I agree with you. The True Silver is going to let him keep this board more clear, especially alongside the Repentance, because the next minion that gets played is going to go down to 1 health. So then that trades with the 1/1 token that he has on board. And then the True Silver comes down to take care of the 2/3 Keeper of the Grove, and then suddenly Mysterious Challenger is just bang on this board, dominating proceedings. So I like this line of play a lot.
True. What are the options for Stan here? I think you just slam the taunted Druid of the Claw, right?
I actually don't hate charging Druid of the Claw.
Okay,
Honestly,
that's a good point.
Because you're trying to play around Repentance anyway. Yeah, so this is a really
Oh
good...
right, Repentance. Yeah.
This
I missed again the secret icon. Yeah.
But on top of that, not only does it play around Repentance, you have Innovate combo in your hand. So just getting that damage done now means that this combo threatens lethal from this point forward.
You have an answer why RDU, even if the Consecration would have a better play, would have keep it. Because there's equality in his deck.
That's a very good point. So we talked about how equality is rare in the deck, but yeah.
And he, most importantly, he didn't show it in the games before.
He did not. But that aside, swipe face, hero power, anything, right? Is the play.
Yeah, probably.
Swipe face, hero power just to clear the Noble Sack, and then you have lethal the following turn. The Paladins don't play any heals. They very, very rarely play something like a Neutron, but apart from that, there's no taunts in the deck either. The only thing that stops you in realistic worlds is Lower Theb. So I feel like dunking this swipe into your opponent's face is a pretty straightforward play here to just set up the lethal on the following turn. Because can your opponent really do 10 damage on top of this from an empty board? I don't think so.
No, most likely not.
Yeah. Good ordering though. Hero power first. This way the swipe clears up the token as well. Pretty sure this swipe is going face. Yep, there we go.
Now RDU has to get on with the True Silver Champion to be out of range of the combo. I mean, that telegraphs a play, right?
Yep. But he's already...
look at that. He has a Noble Sacrifice too.
Oh, wow. Okay, that's the double protection. So, yeah.
And he has lethal with Consecration next turn, even if the minion dies. Wow.
Yep. So this has worked out pretty poorly from Cifka, but I'm pretty confident this was the correct play. You're putting your opponent on very, very few outs. I did forget that True Silver was an additional out, even staring at it in RDU's hand, but he'd already seen one True Silver happen, so he's probably just going to have to use combo here to clear, which is exactly what he's doing. So one of these is going to tank the Noble Sacrifice, the other two get to clear the 10-8, and then he gets to sink 2 damage wherever he likes, probably just to clear up the 1/1 at this point, because he's definitely bailing out of the race plan at this point.
Yeah. What he has to draw is a Druid of the Claw or Ancient of War to just, be safe from anything, but little he knows he's just dead to Consecration.
Yep.
Kinda unfortunate for RDU if he advances to the finals, because he just showed the equality in his hand.
Yeah, we had no idea, right? We've seen several games with this deck being played. I don't think we've seen the equality be drawn yet.
No, we didn't.
And there was some concealed information there from RDU that's been revealed, but most important thing, he got the win on the board. That's first things first. Was probably a slightly favored matchup for him. We've talked about how backbreaking things like swipe can be in that matchup.
Yeah.
But we saw, StanCifka found himself really far behind. I think the swiping phase play was definitely the route that gave him the best chance of winning the game. There were slightly more outs than I considered at first. Noble Sacrifice and Lower Theb were the two that I thought of, but obviously the second True Silver just pulled him out of range as well. So hard luck for StanCifka, but a well-earned win for RDU.
Yeah, interesting that even with that super valuable keeper, he didn't manage to squeeze the win, right?
Right.
Now, the keeper was basically remove 2 cards from your opponent for 5 mana. That's like insane value for a keeper.
Yep. And not only that, it wasn't like it was a keeper that was played from behind. Like he had a 4-3 shade on the board at the same time. So it was just a really, really big tempo swing that gave him a super powerful board. But the important thing was that RDU picked the correct response. He had two choices. He could have consecrated or true silvered in response to that and cleared the board. You know, a lot of people would have gone with the consecrate option because it was a full board clear, but RDU made the correct play of developing the true silver, which is more value over the 2 turns, and probably won the game because of it. But moving on, are we going to have another game where StanCifka gets to the dizzy heights of 80-something health that we saw him get to in the previous matchup against Patron?
It's probably will be the same strategy.
It seems like it though, but
this time,
yeah,
exactly. He has Death Lords already in hand. I think he should fold up, right? He should just play those.
Yep. I feel like even early execute at this point, you're not too worried about it. You have shield block, shield slam. You have an execute of your own, and you have a brawl if everything goes horribly wrong. And you're kind of safe in the knowledge that you play a second brawl. So if things do get ridiculously messy in the early game, you won't feel terrible about using that brawl to tidy up. So RDU just going to set up a board here, look to get some sort of battle rage play off next turn. He has both of them, so you know, even if he doesn't get injured this turn, if he's able to just poke both of those minions into the Death Lord, that's still 5 cards drawn in total with the 2 battle rages and the natural draw from the Acolyte.
And I think he would like to go for the both battle rages, but solely because he has the Emperor already in hand.
Yeah.
And the coin. So on turn 5, you can just drop it. If you already will have like another part of the combo, of course.
How do you like skipping the attack here? Okay, fine. Yeah, building in more armor is probably better. I think like the hierarchy of options there, attacking the armor smith was probably the best one.
Definitely not attacking face.
Attacking face was definitely the worst thing that you could do that turn. Yeah. I think the middle option is skipping the attack altogether. It doesn't really do much because if your opponent wants the damage on the armor smith or the battle rage, they can just make the attack anyway. So you might as well just poke into the armor smith. So Bouncing Blades, and as I said, this seems to me to be a pretty terrible card in this matchup. It can kill like Emperor on an empty board, but for the most part, what are you using it for in this sort of matchup? It feels like maybe using it just to get rid of a 2/4 Gnomish Inventor might not be a terrible use of the card.
To be honest, I'm not exactly sure.
Yeah.
I'm thinking about it, but nothing strikes, a bell instantly.
I mean, I was advocating using it to kill your own Shield Maiden in the last matchup, so hopefully he can find a better usage of it than that, right?
Well, he has Floating Berserker, Unstable Ghoul, and that's basically it from the combo pieces. Oh, okay, that's not a bad drop from the Death Lord.
It's not
definitely not like to see a patron right now.
And I love him holding on to the Dread Corsair this turn because with double Battle Rage in his hand, next turn he can definitely injure himself down into Battle Rage range, and he can definitely play the Dread Corsair on the board. So at a bare minimum, even if this board gets completely cleared away, at a bare minimum he can still play the 2 Battle Rages next turn to draw 4 cards by holding the Dread Corsair in his hand this turn.
Yep, very good observation. And that's the power of the Dread Corsair. It's not definitely a card that you'll use like a... I mean, it's very universal, and that's very cool to see.
And
Okay,
so he does end up finding a pretty good use for Bouncing Blade. Gets a ball clear that he wouldn't have been able to achieve otherwise. So, pretty bad card in the matchup, as I said, that he's managed to use pretty effectively. But we are just going to see the big cycle turn.
Wait. You don't have to enrage that.
No, but you get the other minion first, right? This way? If he'd have attacked, the Death Lord was in play before the Death Spite.
So you can injure your minion to get battle rages. Because I was thinking for battle rages, to attack first.
Whoa! Okay, he played Emperor before cycling the battle rages.
Yeah, that's really weird for me.
Cannot be right.
Yeah. That's why I thought like you just play the Dread Corsair, attack into the Death Lord. Yeah. You get your battle rages for 3 cards each, right? Because the first effect from the effect from the Death Lord will be triggered first, so you get a minion. The minion will get damage from the Death Spite. You play 2 battle rages, get 6 cards, and then you skip the turn or just armor up or whatever.
Seems legit. I'm gonna say that sounds like a much better turn than just playing Emperor on this fairly lackluster hand. generally, if you have Emperor in your hand and a bunch of cycle, you want to cycle the cycle before you play Emperor. Because almost every other card in the deck is better to discount than the cycle cards. If you're in an OTK matchup, if you're in a tempo matchup, turn 6 Emperor is totally fine. And just use the discounts on whatever you got to do whatever you can.
But in this situation,
in an OTK matchup, you have to cycle first.
Especially that in this situation, he actually does that. He does the exact same plan as he could have gone with Leicester.
And he hasn't managed to injure himself in the process because there isn't a minion on the board this time. So he's actually losing out on card draws as well.
Definitely a misplay.
Really, really strange line of play here from RDU. But, you know, he does fill up his hand here, but now he's left of his Emperor cards, and StanCifka will be keeping track of this as well. Of his Emperor cards, he now only has 2 left. So, you know, StanCifka can actually put him on a reasonable range of what he's capable of doing, which isn't the case if you Emperor, you know, 6 or 7 cards. At that point, all bets are off. You might be able to do anything. But, you know, with only 2 Emperor cards, you can actually, you know, make some intuitive plays as to what your opponent is capable of doing, what his max damage is, if you have decent amount of experience in the Patron matchup. So yeah, having to spend out all of his Emperor cards that turn is actually a pretty big downside for RDU.
That's true. I mean, the matchup is terrible to begin with.
Yep. Not going to deny that.
I think the play that he would have get before the Emperor might have been game winning if he hits, like, you know, jackpot on the parts of the combo.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with you. It does seem a very, very strange line of play from RDU, who, as we both mentioned at the start, has been, you know, perhaps the standout player in terms of, you know, consistently finding the right lines throughout the tournament so far. So one of his first major missteps. As you said, it's a pretty rough matchup nonetheless. So, you know, maybe he just felt like taking the risk that Emperor could stick 2 turns, and maybe felt like that was his win condition. You know, just trying to find some way to get into his head, but there we go. Looks like he's going to commit to the board with the Grim Patron this turn, and it's going to get punished by one of 2 brawls that we see in StanCifka's hand. So.
Yeah, and after losing the first Patron, what's your plan? You need to draw the Warzone Commander, and your opponent is slowly rolling out of range of your combo.
Yeah.
Especially with the Justicar, this will just escalate very quickly.
Yeah, I mean, let's look at what he can do with 10 mana. So he has double Frothing and Unstable Ghoul in his hand for 6. So if he draws a Warsong, that's 9 mana already dedicated to the combo. So he can only play 1 additional Whirlwind alongside it. And then, you know, if he has a Death Spite up as well, that is the 3 Whirlwinds he needs. So, you know, arguably he does have enough just by hitting the Frothing Berserker and the Unstable Ghoul in his hand. There's definitely an argument to say that. It looks like he's going to use his first Warsong Commander here just to invest some Patron value into the board. Just start getting a little bit of damage rolling, put some, you know, keep the armor under control. Don't let StanCifka spiral too far out of control. Yeah, I think this is a reasonable line of play, especially with only 4 cards in your opponent's hand. This is kind of the low point in terms of StanCifka's hand size this game. So he's probably about as unlikely to have Brawl right now as he ever will be, because he only has 4 cards in hand. So I kind of like taking the risk this turn.
That sounds fine. I mean, I can't even add anything to this conversation. Well said. A lot of damage piling on. The problem is you only have 1 Whirlwind effect left for your Frothing Berserker. I feel like you have to deal damage here.
Yes.
If he has a Brawl, you will lose this anyway.
Yeah, but he still has the weapon attack, right? So he was just deciding about... Yeah, he could have used the weapon to clear the Justicar and gone face, but then he would have had the full Patron board. Something like Baron Geddon is actually relatively effective. So I don't mind him clearing the 1 spot on his board, but just gets punished by a Brawl either way. So.
Look at that. That's a really interesting turn. If you wouldn't have that Death Spite up, didn't draw, like, well, if you wouldn't draw that card, the Whirlwind Blade is just so awful.
Yeah.
You can't spite a single Patron after a Brawl.
Yeah, try and Bouncing Blade a Grim Patron, just a 1/3/3 Grim Patron, and you just fill up their entire board with 3/3s again.
Most likely,
Yeah.
And now Adio has the second War Song. Wait.
So he's now back in the situation where if he draws a Death Bite, he can do the 3 Whirlwinds he needs, right? He has
3? Wait, that's 3, 6. Yeah, you're right.
So actually just hitting the Frothing and the Unstable Ghoul has actually turned out to kind of be enough to keep him moving forward to actually having a win condition in this game. He's just kind of patiently waiting for Death Bite.
But the problem is he can't activate his Unstable Ghoul at all.
Unless a minion is played, right?
Yeah, and StanCifka might just not play a minion for the whole game.
Sure. The one way you can kind of cheat that situation is if you draw an Inner Rage. So you have the 2 Whirlwinds already, the one that you'll have from the Death Bite, and then the 1 Whirlwind that you do have, and then you can just use the Inner Rage to pop your Ghoul and therefore get a 3rd Whirlwind. But yeah, that requiring him now to draw Death Bite and Inner Rage to set his combo off, when every turn he passes, he's getting 4 damage further away from killing him because of the tank up hero power. Yeah, this is what we talked about with just a card by itself just being a win condition against Patron Warrior. So there is a Gnomish. That's nice. That at least cycles itself out of the deck, gets you closer to the Death Bite. Wow.
Almost out of cards.
Wow.
3, 6, 9 cards left.
Yeah, I think
Patron is correct here.
Yeah, I actually agree. It's really weird that you only have 1 War Song left, and that War Song is definitely being used. Ooh, no.
Wait, no, don't play the Unstable Ghoul. The last card is Inner Rage, right? Or did he use 2?
He hasn't used both Death Bite, right? Have I been talking
Oh,
about
yeah,
this
right.
this entire time?
Wait.
Has he used both Death Bite?
Then he used double Inner Rages.
I don't feel like he's used both Death Bite. It's entirely possible I've been talking nonsense this whole time and he doesn't have any Death Bites left. I'm not.
Well, we'll see in a few seconds.
I'm not putting that out of the range of possibility.
Out of cards, and it is a
There we go. Alright. Face has been saved. I'm not a complete idiot, just a partial one.
So how much damage is that? 2 Whirlwinds, and well, that's it basically.
Yep, because he has no way of popping the Ghoul since there's no Inner Rages left in the deck. So he is required here for StanCifka to make a mistake and play a minion in order to win this game. And I somehow just don't think that's going to happen. He did last game. He played a Shield Maiden that was entirely unnecessary. So I'm not going to put it out of the realms of possibility. But yeah, it seems like just bashing this thing down and pressing the tank up button, and that is just GG.
Yeah, because you have only 4 minions on board, and that's 8 damage per Whirlwind, so 16 damage for 2 Whirlwinds, and that's basically it.
Yep.
That's not enough.
So he just needs to do it and hope that it sticks to the board. That's basically his only win condition at this point, but unfortunately, Second Brawl says hi from StanCifka's deck, and he is just going to go ahead and level up this series. We'll see all the pretty animations happen. We'll see a decent amount of damage being dealt to StanCifka's face, but
well, it's not impressive at all when you see a 27 armor from a warrior stacked on.
Yeah, and once the Barongeddon or the Brawl comes down here, we're going to see the concede button pressed quite rapidly by RDU. So this series is tied up at 1 game apiece.
I really like this deck. I mean, I'm wondering how it will do on ladder. Maybe I will try it while I stream, because I really love the inclusion of the new cards. New. Right? Because it's Whirlwind Blade and Gorho.
Sure.
So. Wow, additional damage. Look at that.
Yep,
no,
there
right,
we go. Brawl happens and concede happens, just as expected.
Yeah, honorable Lexus right now, and that's it.
What? How did we get to Lexus? Mitsubishi, I kind of went with you.
Last time was Mitsubishi, now we just upgraded.
Yeah, alright. So the game is tied, or the series is tied at 1 game apiece, and we are going to see now the Patron Warrior go up against the Druid.
And that's not the best matchup for any of the deck. any of the decks. Like it's a 50-50, right?
Yeah, it's a very, very even matchup. Personally, like I'm a very heavy patron player myself. It's one of those things where if there's a matchup where like the players of one class say that they're favored and the players who are good at the other class say that they're favored, that probably just means it's 50-50.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's probably what we end up with here. It's definitely a very even matchup. Depends very heavily on how quick the Druid's start is and how quickly Patron can dig to a Patron generation combo.
True. And now we'll just see, like, the hand of RDU is not exactly bad. He's missing the inner range. He has the Death Spite, which is super important, and StanCifka is lacking the Harrison Johns.
Yup. And he's also lacking a particularly consistent curve here. He can choose to play nothing on turn 4, or he can choose to coin out a Sludge Belcher and have nothing to follow it up on turn 5. So, not a wonderful choice here, but for StanCifka, if he coins out the Sludge Belcher, basically what you're saying is that there's going to be targets for you to swipe or Wrath next turn, and that will be your turn 5, or just trusting your deck that you're going to draw something else to do. But how do you feel about this here? Can you pass another turn without getting any pressure onto the patron player here?
I think you're pushed to that position. You can't really sacrifice the coin when you're looking so grim. If you whip on another draw, if you coin out the Belcher right now, it's really hurting.
And he has double 7-drops in his hand as well, right? Which just makes the coin look pretty appealing. So
yeah, you have to just hero power here.
Yep.
And StanCifka seems not to be happy with the choice, of course.
Yeah, feels bad, man. Turn 4 hero power with Druid. No ramp so far, no minions so far. And we're going to see on turn 6, he is able to activate his Grim Patrons. So this is not looking like a good game here for StanCifka.
And it's not about the Emperor, it's not about the patrons. It's only about the patrons because the Druid has really not a lot of options when it comes to clearing the board, and swipe, which is usually the best way, is the worst way in this case.
Yep, you basically need something else, like you have a minion on board, have a Wrath and a swipe. You know, that's like the prerequisite for swipe to be good. So that situation very rarely happens when you're up against something like a Death Spite beforehand, because Death Spite is just so effective at chopping down your board. So RDU is going to go through the formalities here and consider all the options, but Death Spite trade here just looks pretty glorious, right?
Of course. Seems like the best option every single time.
RDU definitely thinking about something, though.
Well, what's the other option? Slam, Whirlwind? No, it's double slam?
It's double slam and trade, slam and execute to retain your minion. These are all things that you can do. What you should be doing is setting up your Death Spite Whirlwind to win the game next turn.
The only concern which RDU can have is a Harrison Johns. But if there's a Harrison Johns, it will be played at some point against the Death Spite without the patrons on board. So
for sure,
makes no difference.
Yeah, I mean, even like another minor upside of this play, just to make it even more appealing, you put yourself to the absolute perfect health total this turn. 29 is the best health total for Patron Warrior to ever be at. So, you know, there's just a lot of things going for this play, so it just has to end up being right. And Dr. Boom is going to come down here, and that does briefly, very, very briefly, put a stop to the Patron plan, potentially, because he can choose to go for the safe option here, but no. Never mind. So he could have just slam executed and then thrown away the Whirlwind just to have the board clear, and then gone with the Patron Inner Rage and the Death Spite swing the turn after. But he's
like this more.
Yeah, he's just going to risk the Boombot RNG and then go ahead and use the execute. And Boombot RNG has not gone well for him.
No, not at all. And that will mean the Stan will be able to clear the board.
At this point, do you like Whirlwinding again better than executing?
And I think that's I think that's a legit play here.
Yeah.
Because otherwise you leave your board open to, let's say, Savage Roar Wrath.
Yep.
No, sorry, Savage Roar Wrath is not enough. Double Wrath, Wrath's Wipe.
Savage Roar Wrath's fine, right? You have
it's 7. Yeah,
Savage Roar Hero Power Wrath.
Savage Wrath, Hero Power Wrath. Yes, it's enough. So there are too many options to clear those patrons. So
RDU sees it. Yeah, this is absolutely the right play here, I think.
Correct. Correct. There's a rect incorrect.
It's getting late, Lothar. I can feel it. You're losing your grip on reality.
Yeah. First Lexus, now correct.
Yeah.
Okay.
In before Lothar spawns new Twitch chat memes.
I would love to get a quick VOD from the voice problems we had in the beginning, so I can just put a YouTube film of me being a Schwarzenegger.
Yep, fair enough. So, back to the game, looking at what Cifka has in his hand right now. Does he have any sort of attractive option for a board clear? So the Savage Roar Wrath is still an option. That takes down 3 patrons, but it is also your whole turn. Is taking down 3 patrons good enough to justify using your whole turn on here? Probably yes, right?
Probably yes.
I think you can read into the fact that your opponent thought so hard last turn that he was deciding between Whirlwind and Execute.
Yes.
So you can put the read on your opponent that he has an Execute in his hand. If he has an Execute in his hand, this board disappears pretty quickly, and you're running the risk of there just being too many patrons for you to deal with next turn.
Very good observation. Right? Now RTU has to use the Slam first on the Ancient of Law, right? You want to get a Taskmaster. We know he's running one.
Yeah.
You want to get Inner Rage. You want to get
Warsong Commander.
Warsong Commander,
be
exactly.
fine.
Yeah.
So
because you can clear the Doctor Boom. Oh, he's going for a double slam on the Unstable Ghoul.
Oh, okay, this is cute. I kind of like this.
But it doesn't deal with the with Dr. Boom.
It's fine. He can still use an Execute. Just trade 1 patron afterwards into the Doctor Boom and then execute the 5/5.
Okay, that's fine. Yeah, exactly. To be honest, that's even better.
Yeah, that's
I really love this play.
That's a really cute play. Not something that I was looking at, but yeah, definitely a way to take the RNG out of what you top deck with the slam and just guarantee generating more patrons on the board. Really good play from RDU. Very impressive.
And now, there's still 1 mana lacking for that swipe, which doesn't do anything, to be honest.
Nope, even Azure Drake swipe here doesn't get the job done. So I think you're just kind of out of luck at this point. Warrior's at 29 health, so there's no way that you can even engage a race in this kind of situation. I think you're just in trouble, and it's feels bad man time, and this game is probably just a loss. StanCifka's no quitter though. I'm sure he'll try and find a route where he maybe has a chance to win this game, but I think he's fighting a very uphill battle from this point.
Yep. Well, I mean, you can only play like Keeper of the Grove is really bad. It's not a viable card in this situation.
No, absolutely not.
Only Azure Drake and a Wrath or a Shade of Extreme is an option here.
Yeah, and I like Wrathing. I mean, this is almost better anyway because the Patron Warrior is kind of low on cards, so maybe if you manage to get a grip back on this board, you can starve him out. So using the Wrath there to cycle is just like extra good for card advantage because you cycle, you also deny your opponent a cycle from Battle Rage if that's a card in his hand. But honestly, any sort of Battle Rage, even for 2 cards there, is going to be good enough to give the Patron Warrior the resources that he needs.
Do you like the Taskmaster to trade with the Azure Drake? You have board advantage, and you don't want to play more minions. I think like you don't want to develop the board.
Taskmaster the 3/2, right, and just trade into the Drake.
Yes.
With the 5/1,
and just attack with the free patrons and just hero power past the turn.
Yeah, I think that's fine. I would absolutely don't hate playing the Frothing Berserker alongside it though either, because now you're really taking swipe out of the equation entirely. Because next turn, the second Azure Drake and swipe can come into play, and now this board is even more of a mess against swipe than it was. Because the thing that has the thing that has to be swiped here is the Frothing Berserker, right? Or you're dead.
Yes.
Yeah. So then every single patron you hit spawns a new patron.
But it's only one.
Yeah, okay, but the point is that it doesn't matter, right? They will retain lethal on board against Azure Drake swipe. So that's the big picture, I guess.
Yeah, of course. Okay, so RDU takes the lead 2-1, and he's left with Druid.
Druid indeed. So he has Druid, and he has to win one matchup against either Handlock or the Druid Mirror. So he has one 50-50 and one favored matchup. So he's looking in pretty good shape to take the series from here.
There are small tweaks that can like shift the 50-50. An example, if one of the players is playing Harrison Jones and the other one is not,
yeah,
that can make a really huge difference. If one of the players plays Sylvanas and the other doesn't, that also shifts a little bit.
Yeah.
So few things can change.
Sorry, I just caught out of the corner of my eye Twitch chat are going crazy about the honourable car thing. We've now got honourable Toyota, honourable Mazda, like everything in chat right now. So, brief distraction, I apologise. This hand isn't terrible. As far as hands full of ramp go, generally you don't really have anything to go with them and you run out of cards. But triple ramp into Ancient of Law is not bad at all.
Doesn't look bad. Doesn't look bad. And it only doesn't look bad because he has the Ancient of Law.
Yeah, exactly. Otherwise it's just a pretty appalling hand. Even with the Druid of the Claw top deck, it's not that great because you still end up relying on the top of your deck too much. And Druid does play a surprising amount of situational cards that just aren't good top decks. So.
Well, next turn, Druid with the Claw, then you followed up by Ancient of Law. You have the Keeper in case there's a Twilight Drake this turn. Yeah, actually it's true. But there's no Keeper. No Twilight Drake. Would you favor the Twilight Drake in this situation?
It's scary, right? Because your opponent has ramped up to exactly 6 mana, which is the number he needs for Keeper of the Grove plus hero power. But with this hand, maybe coining out the Drake is okay. It's hard to say. But he's just going to go with the Mountain Giant here, and I like this. Just playing the odds game. There's 2 Keepers and 1 Big Game Hunter in the deck. So this is less likely to get answered.
Unless you're facing Firebat.
Yeah, unless you're facing Firebat, who seems to absolutely love Big Game Hunters this tournament.
Well, now you have to play the Ancient of Law, right?
It's too good, yeah. Getting 2 extra cards into your hand to get discounted just seems far too appealing this turn. So let's go ahead and do that thing. No?
Oh, really? So you want to play Piloted Shredder 2 this turn? Because if you play Druid of the Claw, you innovate the Piloted Shredder.
Right.
And that's kind of awkward against board clears, right?
It is, yeah, but I mean, it's not like the Giant can do the hit you in the face thing and Shadow Flame. It has to hit the taunt, and then he's actually choosing not to innovate. He's just straight up playing the Druid of the Claw to protect his Emperor for another turn. That's really interesting.
Don't you think that's not interesting, but just bad? I mean,
so there's two ways to look at this, right? Playing the Ancient of Law gets you more cards immediately. You guarantee getting a good Emperor effect on more cards. By playing the taunt to protect your Emperor, that's kind of the same thing, right? It's the same sort of long-term investment in getting multiple Emperor effects. It's just you're getting multiple effects on the same cards.
That's true, but there's one difference. You still have your Druid of the Claw, double discount, with a viable charge mode.
Yep.
And look at that. If you would actually draw cards last turn, he could have
innovated Big Game Hunter. Right?
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. that's another plus to it as well, I guess. Yeah, I mean, I was willing to play Devil's Advocate because I don't think it was outright wrong that turn, but yeah, consider me convinced. I buy into your argument there. I think the Ancient of Law was just a lot better.
Interesting. So now you have to commit to the Piloted Shredder.
Yeah, I think at this point, you know that Big Game Hunter will get full value at some point in this matchup, so it doesn't really seem fantastic to just Big Game Hunter and 8-4 here. So yeah, Piloted Shredder onto the board seems pretty reasonable, and then do you just protect your Emperor for another turn? I mean, you can pick up a trade here if you want, but would you rather just have the discount again? Is there really any particularly great cards in your hand to discount? The Big Game Hunter's pretty nice to put down to 2.
It is. Especially that you have also Swipe and Wrath on a discount.
Yeah.
So you can really make a good board clear for 6 mana.
He does decide to trade though, respecting the 8-4 on the board. I guess Shadow Flame this turn is
but it's
really
like
devastating, but
only one card, right, in your opponent deck, and the discount on 5 cards, well, basically on 4,
yeah.
might have been more important. Oh,
Wrathguard.
I mean that's not that bad. It actually puts the low tap on a swipe range.
Yeah, I mean Wrathguard's a fantastic drop from Pilot Shredder. I think people seriously overreact to the downside of this card. Like it's a 4/3 coming out of Pilot Shredder. Are you happy if you get Succubus? Yes, of course you are. So.
Double innovate. Ooh.
Yeah, not what he really wanted to see that turn, but Wrath to cycle and swipe is looking pretty appealing this turn.
Then you finish off. No, you can't. Never mind. Oh, Wrath into innovate, swipe into innovate, hero power.
Wow, he found use for his innovates, Lothar. And here we were talking crap about those innovates. They turned out to be fantastic. That's pretty good, right? Ancient Watcher goes down to the innovate hero power, and no. Oh, he just swiped the 2/3 instead. Interesting.
Okay, I didn't see that coming.
I guess he's valuing the second innovate in his hand just in case he draws into multiple combo pieces and he can really put together some big burst combos. Obviously, the Ancient Watcher isn't a threat on the board, but you do have to get through it at some point. So just the clean swipe play that turn looked pretty stellar to me. But RDU going down a different line here.
True. It didn't really matter that much because you will punch through that minion eventually.
Yeah, but this way you're going to punch through it with minion combat. So, you know, unless you're playing to silence it, like the Ancient Watcher is probably going to pick up a trade with a minion, whereas you have the chance to deny it that and just deal with it with a spell and face damage instead. So isn't that kind of more?
Wait, how much damage do we have? It's lethal, right?
Is it? He has innovate silence as well, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's lethal. Wow. Yep. So
that's the scenario in this tournament, right? We are talking about something, and then it's like, oh yeah, look at that. So RDU continues his road to victory, and is advancing to the final. Cool for him. Congratulations RDU, and for my team. And so the final will be between Archon and Nihilum. Orange versus RDU. Too bad for StanCifka and Luminosity. He was really close to advancing to the finals, but Druid does it again. Just Druid things. And what do we have to say now before the finals? Practically nothing. We'll be jumping into a short break. We get to get hold of Orange. Before the break, with just short announcement, just to remind you guys, this channel is a new channel. This is the first tournament that is being organized by Abios, and more tournaments are to come. So be sure to click that follow button beneath the stream, or the subscribe button too, if you will like. And be sure to get notified with the new upcoming tournaments that will be organized in the future, because I'm sure there will be new ones, seeing how much people actually watch today's tournament. We got a new record in the peak of viewers, 45k.
Nice.
So super nice.
Yeah,
thank you guys for watching.
I think all the guys watching as well can agree that the production value of this tournament has been fantastic. The source quality looks amazing. Yeah. The overlay is nice. It's not too intrusive. There haven't been any issues with any sort of player cam switching or anything like that. No real production mistakes. So it's just been a really nice production put together. So it's in your interest to follow this channel if you want to see this high level of production put to work on other games that you enjoy watching. So go ahead.
And no downtimes. Also, we didn't have any pauses, for 20 minutes or something like that.
Right.
So really cool. And also remember, you can tweet about the tournament with the hashtag AbiosGT. And then you have a chance of winning a Battle.net gift card in the giveaway. You can also type !giveaway to participate in the giveaway too by clicking into the link. And if you're interested in seeing how the bracket is looking right now, just type !bracket or go to the abiosgaming.com and see how nice is the website. And yeah, this is it. We'll be going for a 10-minute break, so you can go make yourself a tea or a coffee or something else, and we'll see each other in a short